welcome to Spiritual Vacancy. We are here to help fill your spiritual void. My name is Brooke Ann. I am a psychic medium, Reiki practitioner, and a light worker, and I am with the lovely.
I am Mona Lee. Hello. It's so nice to see you this morning. Thank you for joining us. I'm an energy healer and worker, mind, body, and spirit, and so excited about all of our subject matters.
Me
So what are we doing
too.
today, Brooke?
Today we are talking about paranormal investigations, paranormal experiences. What did we think? What did we experience? And that there's nothing negative with paranormal experiences and that they cannot hurt you. Um, So we're going to talk about, I have actually done two paranormal investigations at, real haunted places that are very public. One was in Savannah, Georgia at the Savannah Theater, which I went with a group of girlfriends for a trip. It was over a year ago. And we went there at 10:30 at night, I think, and they lock you in till about 2 a.m. and they give you all of this equipment to use. And they give you a whole tour of the theater. And the theater is actually still active. They have shows there like every night. So when we were going into with the group, there was about 20 of us in the group, random strangers we didn't know. There was like a huge tour bus there with like all of these people that were getting on the tour bus that just left the show from the performers. And then we're going in there wanting to talk to ghosts. And it was such a cool experience when you get over the fear that, the spirits can't hurt you. They're just there to communicate. And it was awesome. I actually got a spirit nun on my video camera. And it was so active in that theater. I felt like the people that passed away there, like in the 1800s and early 1900s and whenever else, they were still performing for us. Like every machine or EVP thing or whatever it was would go off like crazy and make so much noise. And the only thing none of us liked was they would give you a night vision camera. Those things sucked. So if anybody has ever investing in paranormal equipment, just skip the night vision because it's literally like we saw nothing. But all the little devices they had laid out around the theater, and they had like voice EVP apps that were like talking, but it felt good. Like there was nothing scary about it being in there late at night. The group we were with was like such good energy. Everybody was getting like all kinds of evidence, and like they'll kind of try to scare you too, the tour guide people, where they're like, there's been, word that the spirits will follow you home. Well,
Mm.
no. You have to make sure you say a prayer of protection before and after, and be grateful for the spirits when they show up, and thank them for their time and thank them for showing us that they're there. But the nun is amazing. Like, we cannot figure it out. Like, we thought it was a person maybe holding like this bright white jacket because there's no lights in there. And so I'm like panning on the stage, panning my phone, and I don't see it till later. And this bright white thing is standing at the end of the stage. And the way it moves, it disappears and comes back.
Mm.
And I don't see it on my camera, so I pan away. My mother-in-law is like, "Why didn't you keep your camera on there?" I said, "Because I didn't see it, like with my naked eye." Like it was getting to the end of the night. It was like 1:30 in the morning. And
Yeah.
I'm like, are the spirits like clocked out? Like, did they know like our time is up? Because nothing was being active like the last
Mm.
30 minutes of our stuff. So we were like, maybe they went to bed. Maybe they're tired. Maybe like what is going on? So active in the beginning. And then I caught that image and it was so freaking cool.
And it was just on your camera. It was just like an
Yeah,
image that showed up on your camera.
yeah.
Oh,
And it
wow.
looks like it has like the old timey nuns where it's got the straight across
Mhm.
the forehead and it goes straight down.
Mm.
Bright white,
Mm.
bright, like blinding white in a pitch black room.
Mhm.
And the way it moves is not human. Like we have slowed it down, zoomed it in, did everything. We've tried to debunk what it was because it's like, well, maybe somebody was holding a coat. Maybe that was there's nothing there. Like
Mm.
it's just that bright image. And so that was cool. And then we went and did the jail in St. Augustine overnight from
Wait,
midnight to 3 a.m.
Whoa. Can you go back for a second?
Yeah.
You had mentioned, and then please hold that thought, but the EVP, what is that? What does that mean?
That's
EVP?
like electronic voice phenomenon
Okay.
where they'll speak through an app or a device where you'll hear the voices.
Okay.
And with this one, you actually, sorry, you have to wear headphones and it's hooked up to this handheld machine and it's not your phone.
Uh-huh.
And you can hear things close to you. So
Uh-huh.
like my friend heard it and she was in one of the rooms where one of the people that worked at the theater a long time ago, he actually hung himself.
Okay.
And she heard on that where he says, get back.
Ooh.
So he said, get back. And I'm like, I'm done. Like,
So can I
I,
ask you a question? Are y'all crazy or what? To go in there in the middle of the night after it is closed, knowing that that's when the ghosts are there and that's when the activity happens. So what was it? Just out of curiosity, what was it that, because I remember when you told me that you were going on this trip and I was like, wait, what? Why? Huh? Because you see a lot, you talk to enough dead people all the
I
time.
do.
For a living. So
Yes.
what was it for you and your group of people that went? What was driving you to go, okay, yeah, yeah, let's go.
You know, it's so different though when I'm working with somebody that's sitting across from me and they can like validate their loved ones and they can understand what's coming through where their loved one is in the room. And
Yeah.
then when you do a paranormal investigation, this is also for regular people that I can't fully do what I do, but for them to witness spirit as well,
Mhm.
hearing, seeing, sensing them move the lights, talking to them, thanking them. And then like for me, it's a fun experience because to watch spirit, manipulate things or show up on my camera or move or have the feeling or know they're there, but there's no evidence in it for me.
Yeah.
Like, like I was working with a loved one because, even my friends in the theater, they're like, what are the spirits saying to you, Brooke? And I'm like, what does it matter? They they passed away in the 1800s. Who's gonna validate? Like, oh, Sally's here and
Yeah.
she really liked to bake and she had a great life performing.
None of that really mattered. Really, for you, it
No.
was just to kind of communicate and see and check it
Yeah.
out and just like see them, talk
Yeah,
to them,
to hear them, see them,
observe them.
watch them, play with the devices because they don't do
Right.
that when they're in my space.
Right.
Like they don't manipulate my life. I mean, sometimes they will. I mean, spirit will mess with stuff, but it's the energy is so different in a haunted space like that where the spirits are still hanging out. They'll go see
Uh-huh.
their family, but they're also
Uh-huh.
connected to that space as well because that's
Right.
where they perform, that's where they pass. There's
Mm.
I don't know how to explain it, but
Yeah.
it's not scary. And I used to be really fearful of going into places that were haunted, like dealing with negative energies or things like that. But I've learned that they can't hurt you. They're not going to follow you home. Like they are attached to that building because that's where they passed and that's what they like to be at, or things happen to them. But they travel around too. They're not attached to us because there's no connection to us.
So when that person said, well, they might follow you home, that's not a true statement. They're not going to follow you home because that's not you. Where you are is not where they really belong. And
Right.
they know
The
where they were and where they had belonged before.
The only thing I say about that, which I will never go visit him, is there is a doll called Robert the Doll, and you can go visit him in Florida, and he's in a case, and it is like a possessed material thing, so it's totally
Yeah.
different than like a haunted area. But there
Ooh.
are horror stories of him actually following people home that disrespect him.
It's like that movie Chucky.
Yeah, but I believe that. Like,
I
I
don't like
believe,
that.
like, if you disrespect spirit or you are rude to them, there can be things. That's why I always thank spirit. I'm grateful for spirit for
Mm.
showing up. I've taught my husband if we do a haunted house, you have to thank them. And I have video of him
Mm.
thanking when the spirits was working. He's like, "Thank you so much. Have a good night." He's like
Oh,
saying that to the
yeah.
spirits. But you have to have that mutual respect for them.
Yeah.
That doll scares me, but I'm not into like
Mm.
anything negative or evil. And like with that thing in that the Savannah Theater when that guy said get back, I listened. I'm respecting his space. I did not go back in that room.
Oh,
Like
goodness, no.
spirit is telling you their boundaries
Yeah.
and you have to respect theirs as much as ours. So
Wow.
that's where I'm like, I have to go. Like, I will
Yeah.
not go back in that room. And I didn't. I would not
Oh,
enter that room again.
I wouldn't like that either. Anything scary. I want nothing to do with it. Just like when I was a child, and please remember that story about the jail that you're about to tell before I really interrupted. But
Go.
the like anything scary, it's like why would we bring that in? Just like when I was a child, kids would play with the Ouija board, and I wanted nothing to do with any of that
Me
because
neither.
it didn't feel like it was of God. It didn't feel like it was of light. And it just
Mm.
was something that I knew in the depths of my soul that it was just yucky. So stayed away from that completely.
Oh, it's terrible. The
Yeah,
Ouija board
no,
is like one of the worst things
no.
anybody can use.
It's asking for trouble. It really is. I
It
feel like
is.
there's certain things that we really need to have discernment on and be aware of that we need to really put our own boundaries of living because that veil has lifted as
Yeah.
far as the other side is right here. So
Yep.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
very
if you're
important
doing the
to
Ouija board, you're just asking for negative spirits, anything to enter your space, and you have no control because you're not educated in working with spirit, and ew, I always tell people, no, that is such a
mm,
negative tool
yeah.
to use and really bad things. You can open portals,
Mm.
it's never good with the Ouija
No,
board,
no,
ever.
not at all.
No.
Okay, where's my cross? Where's my cross? All right, Jesus, where are you?
You're
Seriously.
safe. You're safe.
Yeah,
You're
I know.
good.
Yeah, that stuff is yuck, yuck, yuck. So what happened, Brooke, at the jail? The next place that you had gone to, was this the same night that you had gone to that theater and then the jail
No,
you had
this
mentioned?
was two totally separate. Like that one was in June of over a year ago at the Savannah Theater. And then we just went to Florida in last November.
Okay.
And me and my husband were like, let's do a paranormal investigation. So it's this really old jail in St. Augustine, Florida, which is the first US city that was ever, like, it's the oldest city in the United States. And it is so cool. The culture, if anybody has never been, you should go. And they do a haunted tour of the jail with the paranormal equipment.
Mhm,
And when we were sitting outside, you get there at midnight, you sit outside. There was about like, I guess, eight of us, like four different couples, that were doing the tour with us. And then you have your tour guide,
mhm,
and he's telling us all about the history of the jail.
mhm,
And I'm sitting there and I'm like, there is like a man staring out the window looking at us at the jail when I'm looking over at the jail, but I don't say anything because I'm like, he's ready for us to come in.
mhm,
And I don't normally tell people that I'm a medium when I just want to enjoy the experience and see what happens. I'm just a regular person. And we get into the jail and you get the tools, they give you whatever tools you want to use, the EVP stuff, the monitors, all that stuff. And we started walking around. I told my husband, I was like, there is a bald man named Frank following us around. He didn't feel evil. He felt heaviness. There's a lot of heaviness in that jail because over like 500 people died in that jail, and there's records of none of them. A lot of bad stuff happened in that jail through the years.
mhm,
And that's the difference between Savannah Theater. The Savannah ghosts are like still performing, and they're
mhm,
positive and they're fun. These people in this jail suffered, like
mhm,
tortured, not good. They don't have names. It's just really sad what
mhm,
happened there. And so he had like a heaviness about him, but I was not scared of him. I just knew he was watching us. So
mhm,
we were sitting in the men's jail. It's like pretty much dark in there. There's like a red light. And I was started videoing on my cell phone, and me and Jeremy were kind of joking. We were the only two in there, and I'm like, this dude is just like staring at us. Like I could feel him like almost breathing down my back. Like he wants to be acknowledged so bad. So I take my phone out, I'm starting to record. I pan back behind me because I know he's like behind me. I didn't know I was going to get his face on my camera. And so I pan behind me, I come back. I can't see it because I need glasses and I am farsighted, so I can't see anything up close. And I asked the tour guide, I said, do you know of a bald man named Frank? Has anybody said anything about that? And he goes, no, nobody. And it wasn't actually as active as the Savannah Theater. It was
mhm.
kind of more boring, I have to say, at the jail. It was just little bits and pieces. I did get that guy Frank breathing on one of my other videos where you can hear him go, and he's like right in between us, and me and my husband could not hear it. And he's like getting our attention as they're
Oh.
manipulating this machine in front of us, and you can't
Mhm,
hear it with your actual ear. It just caught it on my phone.
mhm,
And there's a lot of stuff that happened that night, but it wasn't as active. So I didn't think I got a lot. So fast forward to the weekend, I get home and I'm like, I'm gonna like look over my videos and see if I missed anything. Oh my God, that was like the best evidence I have ever seen, ever got. It is his full face
mm,
staring at us through the jail cell. Like you could see his big bald head, his eyes, his nose, his you could see the nostrils, his mouth, and then his face kind of dissipates. And when we slowed down the video, you see it starting to form. There is this white face, and
uh-huh.
then when the red light hits it from the red light in there, it is like, oh wow, oh my God. I ran downstairs and I was like, Jeremy, look what I got on video. Holy shit. I got a whole face. I was like, that's the man. Look at his big
Wow,
bald head.
wow,
Freaking amazing. Like
wow.
so amazing. And I was so thankful
Mm,
for him. And I was thanking him while he was there. And then I emailed all of the evidence to the tour guide place. And they
mhm.
were just like, wow. And they
Ah,
were like, why do you think that guy Frank was following you around? And I'm like, because I could feel him. I could
yeah.
see him. I was acknowledging him. And you'd think of them not being acknowledged for so long.
Oh,
So
no.
we're actually going back. I'm going back to that jail in a month.
Mm,
Florida. I'm going back and I'm going back to communicate with Frank. I'm gonna
wow,
try to get some
wow.
answers and see who else is there. Because the tour
Well,
guide said, please let us know when you come back. We have questions for you. We
it
want to
is
be there when you investigate. I'm like, I'm ready.
interesting, interesting. And you know what? They do want to be seen and heard and understood, just like people on Earth do. They're no different. They're no different from what I've experienced since I was little. But what would you ask Frank then the next time you go and you see him? What are your questions that you're going to be asking Frank?
I would probably try to ask him like what happened to him,
Uh-huh,
how did he pass?
uh-huh,
You know, I feel like even though the jail is old, right?
uh-huh.
There was still corruption up until the 1950s.
Ah.
That's not that long ago.
Ooh, yes,
It got shut
exactly.
down in the 1950s because they hung an African American man, and
Mhm,
the NAACP got involved.
mhm,
And actually, Martin Luther King went to St. Augustine, Florida. He ended up getting arrested,
mm,
but because of this noise with them hanging that man, which was probably innocent,
okay.
things started to come about where they're like, you have over 500 inmates and you have like records of none. Where are they?
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting,
They didn't
interesting.
keep records of anybody, so hundreds of inmates died there. And they
Wow.
just buried their body. They never kept record of them or anything.
Wow.
And
I would imagine, do you think that the loved ones of those people would have known where they were? I mean, even generations later, so that they could find out this beautiful information that maybe they had a loved one or family member or a long distance member that had passed there and give them some sense of relief?
I know, I don't know.
Yeah.
I wish that would be the case. Like family
Yeah.
members might reach out or wonder what happened to their loved one because it ended up being where they were taking a lot of the homeless, the people on the streets, they were jailing them,
Uh-huh.
and then they were selling them to local farmers and things like that. Even in the 50s, where
Wow.
they were selling inmates for work. They were
Wow.
trading them for work. So they
Oh
would
my
take
goodness.
the inmates, have them go work 14 hours a day, put them back in the jail, and the jail was making all the money.
Mm, wow. What a system.
Yeah, and those poor people
What
were
a system.
suffering.
Wow.
You know, they were being worked to death,
Oh,
literally.
talk about karma. It'd be interesting to
Yeah.
see what happens around after.
Yeah, yeah. I'm excited to go back
Okay.
and actually like try to communicate, ask him to give me information that could be validated because I
Mm,
don't want to just have a conversation with him and nobody understands what I'm saying.
sure.
Right? Because that's wasting my energy
Yeah.
on, well, he's saying this and nobody knows, so
Mm,
I don't
mhm.
know. but it'll be fun. And my husband had fun. So
Mhm.
if you've ever wanted to do a paranormal investigation, do it. Because
Wow.
there's literally nothing scary, nothing could hurt you. You have to go in
Uh-huh.
feeling that way too, because I always say they can pick up on fear,
Yeah,
they can pick up on our emotions, and they might
sure.
mess with you even harder if you do feel that way.
Well, exactly, because it's an energy, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And if somebody or something is sensing that, ooh, she's afraid, boo, they can scare you,
yeah.
I'm sure, even more in some capacity, right?
Yeah, yeah. And if you
Mhm.
follow my TikTok, I actually have all those videos on my TikTok account
Mm,
of the face, or on Facebook, of the nun as well. You'd have to search a little bit, but
okay.
I've posted all those videos where you can actually see the evidence. And it's just crazy because I've watched all the paranormal TV shows and they've got nothing on like what I got.
Wow,
It's
that's incredible.
insane, the images. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you dealt with like paranormal activity, Mona, or had experience as well?
Yeah, I have. And it started actually when I was a little girl. I was living in a house that was built long, 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 long ago. And I was about 4 years old. And I remember that every time my mom would go to bed, I would go to sleep. And all of a sudden, this little boy would walk up to the side of the bed. And he was the same age as me, about 4 or 5 years old. And something in the basement always kind of creeped me out because there were just old antique pieces down in the basement. And my brother and I would go, "Oh, I dare you to go down there and play." Or I dare you to go down there and go get, that jug of milk, or, whatever we would dare each other to do. But in the middle of the night, little Mikey would come to me to the bedside when my mom would fall asleep, and he would go, "Mona, let's go downstairs and play." And it would
Oh,
freak me out, but yet it wouldn't at the same time because I knew he wasn't there to do harm, but he really
right.
just wanted to play. And I had found out that years later he had passed in that house.
Yeah.
But he was a sick little boy and he had passed in that house and he was just sweet as can be. And every night we would talk and he would just want to play and he wanted to be heard. He wanted to be seen. He wanted to play. He just wanted me to be his friend. And it creeped me out so much. And I would just cover my head going, okay, I got to go to bed. It's my bedtime now. I know
Yeah.
it's not your bedtime, but it's my bedtime now. So I have to go to bed. So please go. And I would cover my head and I'd go, okay, God, please help me. But I would see it, but it would creep me out, but not creep me out at the same time. So I just knew that spirit world was like right beside me. So it was always there. It
That
was,
is so cool now that I'm
yeah.
older hearing that story. But if
Yeah.
you would have told me that like 20 years prior, I'd be like, oh no, that's like the
Yeah.
devil. Who's
Yeah.
that? That would scare the mess out of me, especially at
Yes.
that age.
Hmm.
Or, be like, let's go play in the basement. Like,
Yeah.
"Oh,
Yeah.
we can
And
play
he
with
didn't
you,
say it like
mister."
he didn't say it in a creepy way either. He just said,
Right,
let's go play. But it was a creepy place to me. So it just like,
right.
yeah. So of course it was a creepy feeling. So whew, that was
That's so
something. That was
cool.
something. But as far as paranormal, normal, I had found myself almost like addicted to watching orbs. It's
Oh,
something
yes.
that we can't see with our naked eye, but
Mhm.
it's something that, like, when you pick up your camera, whenever, and I notice in the Zen Den, for example, I'll be at nighttime just relaxing or meditating, and my cats will come in, and then they start to look around, and I can see both of them going, yeet, 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 and kind of looking around. I'm like, oh, the orbs are here. So, and it typically is when everything is peaceful and calm, and the music is on, and maybe some candles are on, and then I got my camera on, and I'll look, and I'll point my camera around different parts of the room, and then you can see orbs of light, like white
So
light.
cool. Yeah.
Typically, they're white light. Aren't they amazing? Have you seen orbs
Oh,
of light?
yes. It's
And
so awesome.
oh, it's incredible. It's incredible. And there was one night I was kind of messing around with well, just like the energy of it to see if I could get more and more. And I was singing old church hymnals, just old church hymnals, like from way back in the day. And they loved that music. They loved the old church hymnals, and they would just come out, and then a bunch of orbs would come out by the guitars and the drums. And it was fascinating to see them just zipping and zooping all around the room. But that's such a fun thing to do, and everybody can look at orbs. We just can't see it with our naked eye. We have to see it with our phone.
Yeah, definitely. You have to see it with the phone. And
Mhm,
then
mhm.
also like you have to remember, or people out there when you're on the beach or in the sunlight, there will be light flares that are blue that people think are orbs, but they're not.
Oh,
So
what
I
are
get
they?
that a lot where people will send me images and they're like, is this an orb? And I'm like, it's sadly not because it's a light flare from the sun and it
Oh.
shows up as a blue dot and it will move around your phone. That's not an orb though.
Oh, yes, I've seen the green dots when I'm at the
Yes.
beach, and then it looks like a green dot as well that can
Yes,
show up.
you
So,
see
and
those.
those are not orbs, that's just a reflection
Yeah,
from the light, from the sun that is casting that light up
yeah,
there.
from your phone.
Yeah,
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 because the
yeah.
orbs are white and
Yes.
there's a pattern that they move. Orbs
Hmm.
don't usually stay still.
Right.
They're the energy on the go. But
Yep.
I did get a photo years ago, and I still have the photo. And we were at Jeremy's grandfather's memorial service in Maine.
Hmm.
And this is like way before my spiritual journey. Like I believed in orbs, like in spirit, but I wasn't on this path at that time. And
Hmm.
I took a picture of all the grandkids. And there is literally, I'm not even lying, there is like an orb this big. It looks like a moon, a
Mm,
white moon
yeah.
above their head.
Hmm.
And it's in one photo and it's not in the next. And I'm
Huh.
like, and nobody's moved. And I'm like, oh my God, that's your grandfather
Wow. Wow.
showing up for it. You can actually see the bushes through the orb,
Yeah.
but it looks like a huge moon. It is the biggest orb I have ever seen, and it's
Wow.
perfectly round. It is
Mm,
crazy. It is
that's
so
amazing.
crazy. Yeah.
What I found too, and over the years of watching orbs, is orbs love to be around animals and
Mhm.
they love to be around children.
Yes.
They love to be around laughter and playfulness.
Mhm.
There's something about it that they just find so much joy, and more of them just almost multiply when those things are happening. It's so cool to see.
It is.
Yeah.
It's like just the evidence that they're there, like they're there, but then when you actually see it, it's like they're there.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they're coming for me. They're around me. You can
Yeah.
see it on your phone and it's so cool.
Yeah. It
Now
is.
you have an app that does something?
Yes, yes, yes. In fact, that was the app that I had mentioned to you a while back is the SL, hold on, let me find it. SLG, and it's basically you can find little ghost movement, if you will. SLS, ghost tube. Oh, I can't really.
Ghost Tube? Okay,
Yeah, ghost tube.
SLS Ghost
So
Tube.
you open it up and then you just have your phone on and you just kind of look around the room and you could see if there is like a stick figure looking thing. Sometimes it'll pick up though, like for example, I have one tall plant over in the corner, and then it will show up as a shape of a person, but that's not a person there. But
Right.
you can kind of see little things show up in different spaces during the
What is
hour.
the most memorable thing you got?
Really, it was just mostly it just picks up on my plants, but I've got plants, as you can see behind me, I've
Yeah.
got plants all over the place.
Yeah. No,
But
they're
they're
gorgeous.
alive too. But there was one that was outside by Rosebush, and it was right by where my cat, I have my little kitty cat buried back there, and there was a little rose bush. Oh, now my camera's were moving all by itself. Hello?
Like spirits over here. We're talking about spirit, and your camera's
Hello.
like, I'm over here.
Right, right. So with that, there was a little tiny guy that was probably a little person about maybe a foot high outside that just all of a sudden showed up when I was outside just giving honor to my kitty cat. And that was on the
Wow.
SLS app. So
That's
that
pretty
was
cool.
fascinating. It was a little dancing figure that was just kind of showing up. So that was a neat thing, but I don't use it a whole lot. I have pulled it out at a cemetery before just to see what kind of activity, and there's always activity at the cemeteries.
Yeah,
So, and there,
definitely.
it's not a scary place to be. It's just asking for permission, I think is the biggest part, is just asking for permission to be on that land, to
Yep.
walk around and check it out. So,
That's
yeah.
so cool. I'm gonna have to
Mhm.
download that app,
It's
see what I
fun.
get, and let you guys know.
Fun. It's
There it
fun.
goes. Now the
There it
spirit's
goes
behind
again.
you. It's like
Hello.
keeps moving. Mona, you're not even moving, but your camera is. It's
I
picking
know.
up on
Mikey, are you
something.
there?
Yeah, I know. Be like, as we're talking about
Yeah.
spirit and being on the app, and then your camera's like, "Roop, roop," like, what's happening?
I didn't do anything, I promise.
Well, would you guys, we want to know if the listeners would ever go do a paranormal tour, or would you be scared? Are you interested in doing it? There's also one in Wilmington, North Carolina that I want to do eventually, and you can tour that big ship and you get
Mm,
like, it's like completely overnight from like 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. or something like that. Not sure if I'm quite ready to do one that is that long. I like
yeah.
3, 4 hours and you can go, or you can even leave before then if you want, but you guys need to let us know. Do you believe in the paranormal? Would you do a tour? Do you believe in like orbs? Have you got orbs? Let us know in the comments. And we hope you guys enjoyed this episode.
Yeah.
And I am Brooke, and my voice is going evidently. You can find me on Facebook as Spiritual Medium Brooke Ann, TikTok Medium Brooke Ann. My website is mediumbrokeann.com. And where can they find you, Mona?
Actually, your Instagram, what is your Instagram for those pictures that you were talking about earlier?
Ooh, I don't have Instagram.
Oh,
I have TikTok
oh,
and they're
my
on TikTok.
apologies.
I know everybody's
Okay.
like, you don't have Instagram? I'm like, I don't like social media. I am like the worst.
Okay.
But yeah, I have Facebook.
Okay.
There are some on Facebook, but the videos are on TikTok at Medium
Got you.
Brooklyn. And where
Okay.
can they find
Great.
you, Mona?
So I am Mona Lee, and you can find me at beautifulmindsc.com, and my phone number is there as well. So,
Well,
yeah.
thank you guys for listening in today. We love that you guys are always joining us. We hope you have a beautiful day, and namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste.